this, I don't know, 12.2. Everybody remember standard form? Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay. Been working with that for quite some time now. Here, we're going to figure out what c is, because this is just part of completing the square. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to take half our b, we're going to square it, and that's going to be our c. All we're going to do for the first page, figure out what c is. Okay, so number one, what's my b? B equals negative 30. It's the coefficient of r. So I'm going to take negative 30 divided by 2 and square it. So negative 30 is what? Divided by 2. Negative 15, and square it. Be careful. A negative 15 times a negative 15, 225. Now, what are you doing to yourself?
Oh, my nose is running.
Can I ever get a negative number if I square it? That goes for no. Okay, because I'm taking the same number and multiplying it by itself, right? So if I have a negative number multiplied by itself, it's always going to come out positive. So technically, you really don't have to worry about the sign of b, because it's always going to come out positive. But I don't want you to always think that way, because this negative sign is going to come into play in Algebra 2. Okay? But for now, you don't have to worry about the negative sign or positive sign, because it's always going to be positive. Okay, what about number 3? What's my b? Negative 6, so I'm going to take, I'm not even going to worry about the negative sign. I'm going to take 6 divided by 2, square it, 3 squared, which is 9. That equals c. What? I know, it's probably not going to work. I think it's my cord. Alright, number 5. You could almost do these in your head. My b is 24. Half of 24 squared is 12 squared, which is 144. Ooh, a fraction. Now we got some challenge. Okay, my b is 1/2. What's half of 1/2? Okay, let's think about this. So I'm going to take 1/2 divided by 2 and square it. Is that a cough or a sneeze? Oh, bless you. Now, when I'm dividing fractions, what do I do? Come on, think back to the 4th grade. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Multiply them. Okay, so I have 1/2 times. Now there's something, when I change it to multiplication, I have to do something to that second fraction. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? Flip it, right? So instead of 2 over 1, I'm going to multiply it by 1 over 2. Need to square that. So it's going to be 1/4 squared. What's 1/4 squared? No, we did a whole unit on this. Exponents. It's on your final. It's on your post-test next week. And your final the week after. Multiply to each one of the exponents. 1/16. There you go. 1 squared is 1. 4 squared is 16. That's what my C is. You said it? I didn't hear you. Speak up, young man. Because, you know, you're the only one in the class that's doing it. Speaking up. And there's actually only 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are doing it. Bob, are you taking notes? I didn't think so. Tracy, you're taking notes, right? So we got 4 people taking notes. 5! Even though Ian can't hear me, he's taking notes. Go ahead, say it. What? The sarcasm never ends with me. Okay, number 9. Is this fuzzy or is it me? Boy, it's fuzzy. That's true. Is that better?
Next week. Yeah.
Okay, half of 13 and squared. So 6.5 squared is what? 42.25. Awesome. Luckily I did that on my calculator. Calcinometer. Alright. As Bob Seeger would say, turn the page. Huh? They did not write the song. Thieves. Thieves. Thieves.
Because they couldn't come up with their own material.
Yeah. Because they got a metal plate in their head. That's why they call themselves Metallica. Okay. Number 11. Oh, that's a doozy. 71 over 21. This must be a challenge problem. Divided by 2. Squared. I'm going to change that to a multiplication problem. So I'm going to take 71 over 21. That's 2 over 1. Times 1/2 squared. 71 times 1 is 71. 21 times 2 is 42, and I'm going to square that. I'm going to have to use my calculator. Holy moly. We're all staring at you, Esco. Let's see. Let me try this. 71. It's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I can't hear you. Because I'm half deaf. Quit. What did I do? Huh. I got an error. Let's try it again. 71.
I just did 71 squared over 32 squared.
Sure. It should work this way. I get 2.8577. Let's try math. Enter, enter. I get 5,041. Divided by 1764. And I think that's what you got, Nick.
Yep.
Or, if I do a decimal, 2.86. Is that what you got, Esco? Oh, wait, you're not doing notes. Okay. Easy peasy, right? Hey, we got another student. We just...
You got a pass? Okay.
We just increased our attendance by 10%. Wow. Okay, now...
Let's go. Stop talking to Brett.
Now... By the way, did you notice what kind of quadratic equations we can use complete the square on? What's the value of my A?
Let's go. Stop.
1. Okay, I gotta have my value of A 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Even when I do the equations, it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. If it wasn't 1, what would be a better... If my A wasn't 1, remember we did a whole section on that? If A wasn't 1, you guys had to factor it, and only 4 people did it, because they were the only one that took notes. What would be a better way to solve quadratic equations, especially if A is not 1? This is on your test next week. It's on the final too. It's worth many points next week and the week after. What would be a better method of doing this? If my A wasn't 1, it's on the test next week. Quadratic formula, right? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to solve them. We're going to make a perfect square trinomial. Don't worry about it. You'll get more involved with that in Algebra 2. What we're going to do is we're going to get this term and this term by itself. So, I'm going to add 42 to both sides. Bless you. Okay. It's going to leave me with x squared minus 4x equals 45. Now, I'm going to find me a c. Okay? So I'm going to add to it a c to make a perfect square trinomial. But what I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other side, right? It's law of physics. Not really, but I just thought of that. Okay, what's my c? What is it? Half of 4. Okay, my b is negative 4, or 4. I take half of 4 and square it. Half of 4 is 2. Squared is 4. Okay, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. This is a perfect square trinomial because that's a perfect square. And this is what happens with my perfect square trinomial. I can factor that to x. My b happened to be negative, so this is where the sign counts. So I have to make this negative or minus. And this factor is the base here, 2. Squared equals 45 plus 4 is 49. You with me? Everybody see where I got those numbers? A perfect square trinomial makes a perfect square binomial. Okay, it factors to a perfect binomial. Now, all I have to do here is solve for x. So I'm going to rewrite this. X minus 2 squared equals 49. Now, how do I get be careful, this is in parentheses, so I can't just add 2 yet. I got to get rid of that power 2. How do I get rid of that power 2, people? What undoes the power 2? Anyone? 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 Bueller? Bueller? How do I... Shh! I am trying to get rid of the power 2. There's something that undoes the power 2. No? Nick doesn't know. The rest of you probably do, but won't say it. I square root it. So I'm going to have to square root both sides. The square root cancels out that power 2, leaves me with just x minus 2. Now I can drop the parentheses. Equals. Now, what happens when I take the square root in an equation? I know that the square root, 49 is a perfect square, so I know I get 7. But don't forget that little plus or minus sign, right? Plus or minus, because I don't know if it's positive 7 times positive 7 to get 49, or negative 7 times negative 7 to get 49. So I have to consider both situations. You with me? I know this is long. This is not an easy process. It's either this or quadratic formula. Now, I still have to get x by itself, right? Add 2 to both sides. I'm going to put it over here. So this becomes x equals plus or minus 7 plus 2. Yep, 7 plus 2 equals 9. But, don't forget, I got a minus 7. What's minus 7 plus 2? That's right, negative 5. Remember, I can get up to 2 solutions when I'm solving a quadratic equation, right? My parabola, it's my parabola that has a virus. Get it? Parabola. It can have up to 2 solutions that crosses that x-axis twice, right? There's my answer. Wasn't that fun? It's because they got the parabola virus.
Yeah.
They got the parabola virus. Should we do another one? Huh? Okay. Let's see. Let me get a tricky one. We got some tricky ones here. We got some real tricky ones. How about number 15? Ooh, doesn't give me much room. Put the answers on the back for you. 21's a tricky one, too. We could do 21. Okay, 21. 21. Hey, don't I win something for 21? Blackjack. There. All right. I need to get that 23 to the other side, so I'm going to add 23 to both sides. Okay, so I get k squared plus 10k equals 31. I'm going to add a c to it to make my perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to have to add c